Jenny Sparks, issue 3, Tom King writing with Jeff Spokes on the R. So, once again, the format of this is that we have more of the standoff with the bar and the hostages, this time including the Justice League, as there's a flashback story playing out with Jenny with someone from the League. In this case, Superman is the person she's talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Last issue, I mean, she talked to Superman last issue as well, if I think about it. But, yeah.
Well, it's seeming like it's building her stuff, like her interactions with the DC are coming through Superman, it seems like.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, a lot of the dry humor that Tom King has here and sort of poking fun at superhero tropes, with the Justice League just failing miserably to actually take on Captain Atom.
Yeah.
Is a big part of it.
I also like here too, like, it is the lineup of the cartoon in the mid-2000s, right? So it kind of feels like this Wildstorm kind of version of the Justice League, right? Playing with Jenny Sparks, because we have John, and then we have John Stewart, and then we have Hot Girl there too.
I mean,
and Martian Manhunter.
You say that, but I think the point is more that this is set. Well, part of it's set. Like the flashbacks are set in 2004, so
right.
They're almost going for like the memory relation there with that.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I thought that was pretty curious as well, using this lineup of the Justice League and how that relates to actual, the timeline of comics. So.
Yeah, I mean, the flashback's almost the more interesting part of this issue, to be honest, which is Jenny meets up with Superman in Baghdad in 2004, and he's like, why did you want to meet me here? Like, I came to speak to you, I'm happy to do it, but why here? And it turns out that she's aware that there's a shoe with a bomb in it, right? An IED, which she actually points out is a new term, which I guess it was in 2004.
Yeah, well, and this is Tom King. This is what he was kind of doing and researching at this time in his life.
Bombs and shoes, that's what Tom King's an expert on. But no, so basically she's kind of provoking Superman into like, aren't you going to do your thing? Like this jeep of like American soldiers is coming down the street. Aren't you going to save them? And Superman says, like, I can't interfere with this. This is political. I can't get involved in the wars because, that makes me something that I don't want to be. Like, I have to let humanity play those things out. And she's basically provoking that. And ultimately he does give in because he can't just like stand there and watch this happen. So he does, swoop in and deal with the shoe. And she kind of like, it's like, well, I guess, I guess, you couldn't resist. You are so Superman after all, and that's kind of the point. So it does feel like it's kind of poking at kind of how she views superheroes. It does feel like it's kind of fallen into that kind of trap that that Planetary and Authority and like a lot of this stuff that feels really critical of superheroes, where how useful actually are they in the real world for the real things that pop up, and it feels like it's kind of prodding at that, and Jenny kind of saying, are you superheroes actually doing that much good if you're not interfering in like stuff like, I don't know, like it does feel like it's kind of
you're wasting your talents by saying that you can't be political. You still just got involved, right? So like you're clearly not above it. And so I kind of like that King's poking at that cynicism to Jenny. And
it also ties into the fact that they are failing miserably in the main story as well. Like, they're coming in to try and fight Captain Atom, and Captain Atom, he throws Flash like hundreds of miles away at the start of the issue, and then he's beating up Martian Manhunter, he's fending off Wonder Woman and Green Lantern. Like, they're not doing very well at all. He's completely decimating them. At one point, when one of them says something to him about you're a monster, he's like, hey, old man that had cancer, why don't you tell her what I did? And he's like, oh yeah, he saved my life. But it's very nonchalant, in the same way that the one of the ladies is also playing tic-tac-toe with Captain Atom before the fight starts, and he just kind of wants to go back to his game, like in the middle of the fight, and that's what he cares about doing more than anything else. So it's a very, very interesting issue of the book.
Well, and what it's saying there too is that she's telling the Justice League, like, Captain Atom knows what he is. You guys are hiding behind this veil of superheroes.
Yes.
He thinks he's a god, right? And he's acting accordingly, right? And you could look at that as a thing where God's just playing games while all this other stuff happens, right? Is that a certain kind of God wouldn't allow all this to happen. And so she's looking at the superheroes being like, yeah, you're pretending to be gods, but if you're not above getting into these squabbles, then what are you really? And I like that here with the whole tic-tac-toe, because at the same time that it seems like tic-tac-toe is beneath Captain Atom, right? The lady that's playing against it, her counterpart, which I forget what if are they together? Are they family? What was it?
No, they're having an affair. They're
okay.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
That the one is talking to the other that's playing tic-tac-toe. I was like, what are you doing? You can't do that. Like that's he's dangerous. And she's like, well, no. If he wants to play tic-tac-toe, we're gonna do it. And so she's engaging on a different level as all this is going on too, which I think is also the King's taking that yes, you can engage on these things on different levels. Not everything. It's not binary, black or white, right? There's phases to all of these.
Yeah, I admit this is probably the most challenging issue out of the three for me to get my head around and okay, what is it ultimately saying? Especially since the big climax to it, other than the fighting, is that Batman shows up with Captain Atom's daughter, who tries to talk him down, says, "Oh, you're sick. You have to, and he's like, you can't take care of me. I'm a god. How do you take care of a god?" And then he hugs her and basically incinerates her with his hug. It's a great panel. The art is gorgeous with the skeleton on fire that he's hugging. And then Batman's like, what did you just do? You can't do that. So and then he's back to his game, and that's other than the last page is actually the end of the flashback with Superman. Where so
well, it also seems like he incinerated Superman as well, right? Because Captain Atom looks like he punches through Superman. Here he hits Batman with the bolt, so it's seeming like it's almost like kind of Dr. Manhattan-y on top of all of this as well.
It's very Dr. Manhattan. I mean, Dr. Manhattan is based on Captain Atom, so that's not surprising.
Right. And we all know, right? He brought that dude back from the dead.
I mean, I was sort of taking that as not literal, but do you think he's actually killing all the Justice League, but the story by the end is going to fix it, kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the point is Jenny's point is you guys don't get involved until it's too late, right? The Captain Atom already, by the time the Justice League gets involved with Captain Atom, he already has these hostages, and now they're working from that point that if they were to start at the base of these problems, maybe it wouldn't happen. But we'll see. But again, I feel like Tom King's working through some of the cynicism that's towards superheroes through Jenny. That's the lens that we're looking at it as. And maybe she might end up being not as correct, right? She's so cynical in looking at it from that side that that's flawed as well. So,
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I feel like I need to see more where the book's going to really kind of sort of deduce what it's saying here. But I don't know. I genuinely don't know if this is a story where Jenny's going to see the merit of superheroes by the end. Because I could see it going the other way, where it is super cynical and it is more of a critique of superheroes. But it just kind of depends where it goes with it. But Jenny's like, "Hey, you just stopped that bomb," and Superman says, "Yeah, but this is just going to start up again, and I can't stop it." And she's like, "Well, unless you do, just keep stopping it. You could." And he's just like, "Oh, there's a meteor coming. I need to go and deal with that," and sort of rushes off. So, no, it's interesting. I definitely didn't love this issue as much as the first one I thought was an excellent first issue. The first issue was almost perfection, and issue 2 was good but not as good. And this is kind of similar to issue 2, but maybe not quite as good. And I do kind of need to see where it's going. We're at this point now where it's done this format a couple of issues now where we get these flashbacks. I'm kind of waiting for it to fall into place a little bit now to see kind of what points it's really going with and where it's traveling. So, which is to say, the art's very good and the moments are big and grand, and I like a lot of the little things that it's doing. But I wouldn't say this issue clicked with me quite in the same way as the previous issues. Certainly the way issue 1 did.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that too. I feel like again, there are pieces here that King's, and maybe he's making it more murky because that's the point of the story, right?
Mm.
And it will be clear once we read the whole thing, right? You know, it'll clear some things up. But yeah, no, I agree with all of your points, but I do see the potential there still.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of potential in what it maybe is going to ultimately say. But right now, Jenny as a character is just there to kind of like prod what the heroes are doing, as opposed to getting a bit more of an insight to, like, you know, it doesn't really feel right now like she's having an arc, but I wonder if that'll change as we get through into more of the issues, and maybe she actually tries something instead of them to de-escalate things or whatever. But very curious. I mean, right now I would say Captain Atom's the more interesting character between Jenny and him.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would agree.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, what are you giving Jenny Sparks?
I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Yeah, I don't think I think it's just not clicked quite as much with me this issue for me to go into the great territory. So I think I'll go with a 7. I'll go with a straight 7.
Okay.
I'll still say that.